One for each of you, if you don't mind. And you alluded to this, but the U.S. has assessed that the Russians likely have a foothold into critical Ukrainian infrastructure on the cyberspace right now. Is it the expectation or is it a likelihood that they will once again try and shut down Ukrainian power? And if so, is that considered a red line for the U.S. in terms of a cyber operation response?
So Russia has used offensive cyber activity to coerce and disrupt critical infrastructure in Ukraine during a prior crisis. So we would expect, based on prior activity, that should Russia decide to proceed with an invasion of Ukraine, and I want to be clear that our priority, as the President has noted, is really exercising every diplomatic option possible to avoid that. We are prepared for and have been working with Ukrainians and our European allies and partners to help the Ukrainians prepare for potential destructive or destabilizing activity.
Would that be a red line for the U.S. in terms of a cyber response?
I think, as the President has made clear, disruptive or destructive attacks against the U.S. or allies is of significant concern. It's outside the boundaries of international norms, particularly attacks against critical infrastructure.
Rachel, guys, we're going to get to as many as possible. It doesn't help to scream over each other.
Real quick, and I think you alluded to this at the end of your opening statement, but we just heard from the Prime Minister of Italy, Mario Draghi, say that sanctions should be focused on a limited number of sectors without including energy. Do you view that as a one-off? How do you address the fact that the different countries, particularly in Europe, have different equities here to try and actually stay unified, as you say, the West is right now?
Look, I'll speak to the energy question. First of all, our measures are not designed to reduce or impair Russia's ability to supply energy to the world. Number two, we think it would be a strategic mistake for Putin to weaponize his energy supply. 2/3 of Russia's exports and half of its budget revenues come from oil and gas. And if Putin were to weaponize his energy supply, it would only accelerate the diversification of the world away from Russian energy consumption. Number three, we're prepared for anything. So if Russia decides to weaponize its energy supply, we're ready. We've been taking steps, as I mentioned in my statement, to coordinate with major energy consumers, major energy producers, to ensure that we have steady energy supplies and we have stable energy markets. On natural gas, we've been working with Europe in lockstep to surge natural gas to Europe from North Africa, from the Middle East, from other parts of Europe, from the US, and from Asia. And we've succeeded in largely compensating for any shortfall that could unfold if gas that flows through Ukraine is cut. But the last point I'll make, it's maybe the most fundamental one. Policy involves trade-offs, and the President said this week he's not going to pretend that this is all painless. But think of the counterfactual. Think if Russia's aggression in the heart of Europe went unchecked, possibly the largest land invasion in the post-Cold War era. Think of the uncertainties that would cause. Think of the chilling effect that would cause across the European continent. Think of the questions that would be asked about which other countries could be bullied by an autocrat looking to exert a sphere of influence. Those are costs we're not willing to tolerate.
Rachel?
Just a quick follow-up